Hi, I'm going to show you how to transfer half of your stitches on your round loom to the other half of the loom. I am doing this in preparation for doing the Kitchener bind off while on the loom. I just finished, and this is for a sock that I am working on the 40 pig 3/8 inch gauge Cindy Wood adult sock loom. And this is the first sock that I made, and I did the bind off entirely on the loom. And the first step is that you have to transfer half of the stitches. You're going to after you do your toe shaping, you're going to transfer the stitches that you did your toe shaping on to the other half of the loom. So I did my toe shaping across the set of the pegs from this peg here, and it was done over 20 pegs, and I did it from this peg to the peg over here. And so to start, I'm going to take the first peg now that I did my toe shaping on, and sometimes this is peg 1, sometimes I do toe shaping not always over the exact peg 1 through 20. Sometimes it is done, sometimes I do it over like 40 to 19 or 19 to 21. It just depends on how the pattern stitch lines up. But it just has to be the first stitch from, you begin with the first stitch that you did your toe shaping on. And what you're going to need to use is a crochet hook and a loom hook or a stitch holder. I like the crochet hooks because they hold a little bit better and have a little notch at the end. So the first step is to take the stitch that is on peg, the first peg. In my case, this is actually peg 40. I always use the colored or different colored peg as my last peg instead of not my first peg. So for me, this is peg 40. And for you, it might be peg 1. Put it on the crochet hook. Then take the second hook and do the exact same thing. Then the third stitch, the fourth stitch, the fifth stitch, and continuing taking the stitch off with your loom hook and placing it on your crochet hook. One at a time. And I'm removing 20 stitches. And just sort of push them back on the crochet hook as they go. And I know this is kind of hard to see because I have a pink yarn and a pink loom, pink pegs on my loom, but I don't know when the next time is going to be that I have a sock done on this loom, and I have had some requests from some people to do this video. And so you're just taking them all, and I like to keep my finger at the back of the hook just so that none of the stitches will fall off the way end. And continue slowly taking the stitch off and placing it on your hook one at a time until all of the 20 stitches you have worked your toe shaping on have been removed, or however many, let's say you're doing the 60 peg 1/4 inch gauge loom, you'd have 30 stitches that you're removing. And then Now I have all 20 stitches, and you can see right now that that's going to be the toe. And what you're going to be wanting to do is line up the stitches that are on your crochet hook to each corresponding peg opposite of the loom. So the last stitch you removed is going to go on to this next peg here. Sorry. And when you place it on the peg, you want to make sure that the stitch lines up with the direction of the stitches previously. And if it doesn't, you can always just flip it around. And so now I'm taking the second stitch, putting that onto the next peg, in this case and the third is going onto this peg, the third peg. And it helps if you haven't worked too tightly on the previous row. And it also helps to have the proper size crochet hook. If yours is too large or too small, it's going to be really hard to work with to get the stitches to transfer. So I just slowly, and then you can bring these back over here. And then kind of push down just to make sure none of them pop off. And take your time with this because you don't want to make sure that you have the stitch that you want on your loom hook. Like here, I think I have 2. I caught it somehow. Before placing it onto the pegs. And it can, if you are not careful, it can be pretty easy to drop a stitch, which can be frustrating, to say the least. So I recommend just going nice and slow. And see, as you can see here, the knit stitches are all lining up with the stitches done previously for the toe. So again, I'm just grabbing the yarn on my crochet hook, one loop at a time, placing, or on my crochet hook, placing it on my loom hook, and then placing it back onto the peg, the next peg. And here I almost dropped one. And just a few more stitches to go, and you've transferred and like right now, because my stitches are really loose, I'm just going to pull on the tail end of the yarn to help tighten that up. And I messed up. Okay, so after you transfer, there should be 2 stitches on 20 pegs. However, if you did something like me, where I did not get the last stitch. You see here I'm left with two pegs with one stitch only on them instead of two. There's an easy fix for this, however. What I'm going to do is slowly just move the stitches over one at a time. So I'm going to move the stitch over. Now I still have the one peg, but I'm going to come back to that. It's easier to move them over just one peg than it is to move them over two. So I'm just going to slowly go over and move one stitch at a time, one peg over. And this is a lot easier than trying to get it back onto the original pegs and doing it from starting over. So the lesson is to make sure you're counting your stitches before you transfer them. But the general idea is still the same. You're removing the 20 stitches, or however many, the half of the stitches, and then placing them on one at a time back. Now I'm going to go back and do the same thing again, moving one stitch over at a time. So that there's and now I'm almost back. And if I'm looking here, the stitch, I think, is flipped. Yep. So I'm just going to flip it back over so that it lines up. Twist it so it lines up. And as you can see, all the stitches line up. We have 20 stitches now, or 20 pegs now, with 2 stitches on each peg. And we're now ready to do the Kitchener bind off while on the loom, which I'm going to show you in a separate video. Thanks for joining me. Please watch the second video to see how you finish off your toe.